My daughter asked why I don't have baby pictures of her. I've been dreading this question for 10 years. Last Tuesday during dinner, my 10-year-old daughter Zoe asked the question I've been rehearsing answers to since the day I met her. Mom, how come there aren't any pictures of me as a baby in our albums? The fork in my hand froze midway to my mouth as my husband David squeezed my knee under the table. I've known this moment would come. We have albums filled with photos of Zoe starting at age 3, parent her first day of preschool, high costumes, beach vacations, birthday parties with increasingly fewer missing teeth. But nothing before that, no newborn hospital photos. No first birthday cake smash. Zoe came into my life when she was 3 years old and covered in glitter. I was a newly hired kindergarten teacher and she was my classroom aide's niece who needed emergency placement after her mother parent my aide's sister parent overdosed for the 3rd time. She has nowhere else to go, Shannon had explained, tears streaming down her face. I already have 4 kids in a 2-bedroom apartment. The foster system will eat her alive. I'd only been teaching for 2 months. I lived alone in a 1-bedroom apartment. I had student loans and exactly zero parenting experience, but something about Zoe's solemn brown eyes and the way she methodically organized the craft supplies while the adults around her fell apart made me hear myself say I can take her. Just until things stabilized became weeks, then months. Shannon's sister went to rehab, then relapsed, then disappeared. I learned how to detangle curly hair without tears. That monster spray water with lavender kept nightmares away, and that Zoe would eat any vegetable if it was arranged into a smiley face on her plate. When the social worker mentioned that Zoe's mother's parental rights could be terminated, David Perned, a music teacher down the hall who had started bringing us dinner twice a week, Perned said we should get married for Zoe. It wasn't the most romantic proposal, but watching him teach Zoe to play Twinkle Twinkle on the piano made me realize I'd fallen in love with both of them. The adoption was finalized on Zoe's 5th birthday. We took hundreds of photos that day trying to make up for all the ones we didn't have. Now 7 years later, my daughter was waiting for an answer about those missing pictures. I took a deep breath. Zoe, I don't have baby pictures of you because I didn't become your mom until you were 3, I said gently. Remember how we've talked about how families are made in different ways? Some moms meet their babies when they're born, and some moms like me are lucky enough to meet their children a little later. Her forehead wrinkled. But what about my first mom? Since she have pictures, David and I exchanged glances. We'd always been honest with Zoe about being adopted, but we'd kept the details age appropriate. She knew her birth mother couldn't take care of her, but not why. I don't know if she took pictures, honey. She was going through a really hard time. Zoe was quiet for a moment, pushing peas around her plate. Then she asked, do you think she misses me? My heart cracked. I'm absolutely certain she does. Later that night, after tucking Zoe in, I found David in our home office digging through a box I recognized from the back of her closet. It contained everything the social worker had given us about Zoe's early life, Pern medical records, legal documents, and a single creased photograph of a newborn Zoe with her birth mother. I think it's time, David said quietly. Yesterday we created a new album. On the first page we placed that single baby photo. On the second page we put the first picture we ever took of Zoe Pern covered in glitter at my classroom art table. Between them, we left a blank page with the words, your story has chapters we weren't there for, but they're still part of who you are. Some questions don't have perfect answers. Some family albums have gaps, but love fills in the spaces between what was lost and what was found.